Hey everyone, it's Romeo from Well Travel Romeo, and in this video, I'm going to talk through my study plan for my second year studying Spanish. Now, this plan is similar to what I did in my first year, which started somewhere around September 2023, which means that I have now been studying Spanish a little bit over 15 months. And so now this plan is much more refined because I finally figured out what I need to do, which is just learn the basics. And then after I learn the basics, it's just a matter of refining what I already know and building my Spanish vocabulary. So this is everything that I'm going to do in 2025. And my point of sharing this is that maybe if you struggle with having your own structured plan, you can steal my plan or grab inspiration from my plan. So let's go ahead and get into it. The first thing I do every morning, I get up around 6 o'clock in the morning if I get up on time, and I watch an episode of Español Sí. Now, this is something that I did start watching in my first year of learning Spanish, and I'm coming back to it now. But Español Sí is how I get my listening and conversational Spanish going, as far as like hearing natural conversations of the Spanish language. I will say that one drawback, but not really a drawback, is that the episode is based in Spain, or the episodes are based in Spain. And so again, if you have not mastered or understood the basics, then you will probably get confused if they start speaking in the vosotros form, which they do sometimes in this series. But anyway, the series is on YouTube. As you can see, that's where I'm at right now. And they have a playlist on this channel where the videos have the subtitles. So you can listen to these videos and watch the subtitles at the same time. And the series is pretty sweet because it's like 74 episodes. And the premise of the series is they have this instructor here who is teaching this young man right here, who's a tourist from, Germany, somewhere in Germany. No, Russian. I believe he's Russian. It doesn't matter. But anyway, he speaks Spanish, she speaks Spanish, but he shows up to learn Spanish and she's teaching him Spanish every day. So it's like a 7-minute or more of them going over Spanish grammar. And these are things that reinforces what I know. And after they go through their 7 minutes of Spanish, it cuts into another portion of the series where now we're following him in his house.
3588-019.
And he's talking to a group of 3 or 4 people that live in this house. And again, it's just natural conversation, and they have their own storyline going on where they all run an art gallery. And so it cuts in and out between the teacher and him, and then him and his friends. And it takes about 30 minutes to get through each episode. So I highly recommend this because it's free. And you can watch it as many times as you want. And it teaches grammar. So it's like made to teach Spanish with natural conversations. So that's the first thing I do. The second thing I do, I think is very important to read. And so there's 2 things on this spreadsheet that actually forces me to read. I found this cool series on Amazon called 100 Days of Reading. And so here is the series. It's called 180 Days of Reading, and it's a Spanish edition. And there's 5 books in this series. And so I'll bring one up real quick. It will truly humble you if you grab the first grade book for Spanish, and let's go to a random week. It's broken up into weeks. And so I actually go over 1 week worth of reading per day because the reading doesn't take that long. So let's go to week 13. Excuse me. So week 13, again, it's I know the words because I've studied it already, but it's just basic reading that anyone should know, especially if they're in their second year of studying Spanish. So So maybe I picked a bad week. But anyway, so this is the second thing I do. I go through the Spanish reader, and it's much better than some of the readers that you find on Amazon that say they are for beginners, because really they're not, because you end up reading it and every sentence there's a new vocabulary word that, like, you just don't know. And it's not a very pleasant experience to read something where every 30 seconds you're looking up a word. But this is a good series that you may want to pick up. But anyway, it's broken down into the week. So day 1 is really short reading. Day 2, here's day 2's reading. Day 3, day 4 is like a paragraph form. And then day 5 is like a writing exercise. I don't do the writing exercise. The third thing that I do is I go through complete Spanish grammar. Now, again, complete Spanish grammar, because the book is so long, I have it broken down into 3 different days. So for example, if I go to chapter 1, which goes over, again, basics, reinforces what I know, the present tense of regular verbs. If you can see that, hopefully you can see that. But if not, that's what it says. The chapter is fairly big, but I don't want to overwhelm myself. I go through it slowly, and I break down the chapter into 3 different days. And so right now I've made it into this morning. I finished chapter 10, so I'm on chapter 11. So again, chapter 11 is reinforcing. Tomorrow, when I started, chapter 11 will reinforce compound tenses of the future perfect and the conditional perfect. So I go through it slowly, and if there's a word that I don't understand, then I put it in my flashcards, and I'll show you that soon. What else? The next thing I do, and the last thing I do, is I read every night a book in Spanish. And the series that I use is a series called Leer in Spanish. And so what's cool about this series, here's a sampler of it. What's cool about this series is that they have 6 different levels of leveled readers, and they actually have 7 levels. What's not shown on this page is they have an introductory level of around 5 books. And so these books should meet you where you are. By the time you get to level 3, you should be very comfortable reading in the past tense and in the conditional tense. In fact, I started level 3 yesterday night, and I started with Marianella, and this book uses a lot of the past tense. In fact, the entire story is told in the past tense, and so the past tense uses the preterite and imperfect. But also what's cool about this series is that it uses audiobooks. So if there's a CD here, that means that the book also comes with an audiobook. And the audiobook is great because if you are someone, again, that want to get used to hearing the Spanish language spoken, then after you read the book, you can associate the words that you hear with the words that you saw, or vice versa. So let's see if I can pull up an example of Marianella, the book that I read last night. I'll show you what I'm talking about. Here's Marianella. Here's chapter 1. And as you see, by the time you get to level 3, everything is strictly in the past tense. So el silencio cayó sobre la tierra, right? The silence fell over the earth, or fell over the land. So that's pretty much it. I have my Spanish series that I'm listening to and visualizing conversations in Spanish. I have reading, and I'm going to go through all 5 of the graded readers. So this is just I've been going through. I'm on week 30 of the first grade, and then I'm going to go through grade 2, grade 3, grade 4, grade 5, and I'll be done by the end of June. The Spanish complete grammar. I'll be done with complete grammar at the end of March, but I'm not going to stop here. I have queued up the intermediate Spanish grammar book, and I have the complete Spanish all-in-one, and I have the Spanish vocabulary all queued up and ready to go. because my theory again is to just show up and study something every day and reinforce what you learn. One last thing that I'll address is I don't use a Spanish online language partner. I don't use any formal classes. Like, this is all self-taught. And the reason is because I'm more comfortable teaching myself, and it's been working pretty well for me. So one thing that's important to know is like, well, what if I come across something that I don't understand? The good thing is all the books that I have, especially in the Leer and Español series, like all the books that I have, I take the time to scan in all my books and I put everything in the cloud. And the benefit of that is, number one, I can take my books anywhere I go so I can learn. But the second thing is, once I upload these books into the cloud, then I can use Apple's built-in translator or Google Chrome's built-in translator. And if I come across something I don't understand, I just highlight the sentence and I right click and I translate it in English. All right. So that's one thing that I do. But Google Translate is not always correct. So another resource that I use is I use Spanish Dict. And so I can come in here, copy the sentence, and I get the translation for the sentence. Or if I don't know a word, or if I don't know how to pronounce a word, then I would use, again, Spanish Dict, and it will give me not only the meaning of the word and all the different types of ways the word can come up. It gives me the pronunciation. So if I don't know how to pronounce viajero, like I don't need a teacher to tell me how to pronounce it. I just hit viajero, the pronunciation, and there it is. And then the last thing that I use is, I would say I use Quizlet. So when I come across a word, especially in this first grade reader, that I don't understand or I don't know, I put it in a flashcard. And I have so far this year 30 sets of flashcards, and I make flashcards for anything that I may not know. And I listen to these flashcards when I'm in the gym or if I'm eating lunch or something like that. So hopefully this was helpful. I know I went on for quite some time explaining everything. But again, this is what I do, and feel free to do something similar. Use these resources if you want. Use the description in this video, and you can get more information about anything that I talked about. If this video was helpful, make sure you give it a like and share it with someone who you know is also studying Spanish. Until the next video, peace.